Welcome to session 4 of Yoga for Emotional Health. I'm so glad you're here. If you have not watched sessions 1 through 3, stop this video, go back to the beginning. These sessions are meant to be watched in order to help us process through emotions in a healthy way. If you're at the right spot, let's get started. Today, all you're gonna need is your mat or a towel and then a strap. If you don't have a strap, you can use a belt, you can use a scarf, anything that is about 3 feet in length, and you could use a tie, or grab your yoga strap and join me on my mat. Okay, today we're gonna start at the top of our mat with a sun salutation. So find your heels directly underneath the hips over the heels, root down through the 4 corners of the feet. That's what we talked about last class. And let's go ahead and begin to breathe and move. So we're gonna inhale, arms come up overhead, gentle lifting through the collarbones, gentle back bend. Exhale, slight bend in the knees as we take a swan dive forward. Let the head hang, inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant the hands down, step the feet back. Shift the shoulders forward. We're gonna take a chaturanga push-up to up dog as you inhale here. And then let's go ahead and exhale to down dog. We'll just kind of pause here for a little bit, bending one knee at a time. Now, as we do, I'll kind of recap what we've gone through. So we've gone through session 1, body scanning and being able to identify or name what we're feeling. Session 2, sharing that with the Lord. Continue to engage with a deep breath in through the nose, slow release through the nose as well. Session 3, not identifying ourselves as what we're feeling, but rooting our identity in Christ. Inhale, gaze comes to the hands. Walk the feet up to the hands. Halfway lift. Exhale, fold it out. And then inhale, roll on up. As you root through the feet, roll on up one vertebrae at a time. We're gonna lift the head last. Hands come up overhead. Gentle back bend, and then we're gonna exhale, forward fold, slight bend in the knees. And then in this session, we will be just talking through choices and seeking God in those choices, because a lot of times our emotions are just what I like to imagine them as it's just a warning sign that something needs to be recommunicated or something needs to be changed, or maybe it's just a sign that I need to surrender something to the Lord. So we're just going to work through that process today as we flow. So plant the hands down, step the feet back. One more time. Chaturanga push-up. Inhale to up dog. Exhale to down dog. Okay, we're going to lift the right heel. Inhale here. Exhale that knee in and step it on forward. If your foot lands at the middle of the mat, that's usually just because you have a tightness in the hamstring. Take your hand, pick that foot up, move it on forward. We're gonna root the back heel down, ground through that as we come back up to a warrior 1. So here, if I'm looking at my feet, I'm looking at a heel to heel alignment. So my front heel is on the line with my back heel, and then I'm working my hips forward toward the top of my mat, kind of like headlights on a car. Okay, so they're shining forward. Inhale on up. Gentle back bend here. Exhale. Hands come back behind the tailbone. Draw the knuckles toward the ground. And we're going to fold it out into a humble warrior. Inhale, peel yourself back up. We're going to shorten this gap of our feet, okay, to where it's about 2 feet distance, 2 to 3 feet between my heels. And I'm still going to have that back foot turned in slightly. I'm gonna do something fun with my hands and make prayer hands behind my back. If that's not available for you, you can just grab the elbows behind the back, okay? And I'm going to press my hands or my forearms into the middle of my back, drawing my elbows back, drawing my shoulders open. Press this front leg straight as we come into pyramid pose. So pyramid is a great opener for the front hamstring, the back of this leg. But all we want to do is we want to pour the hips forward, okay? And pause where we feel it begin to really work into the back of my right leg. We don't have to go very far. Pull those elbows back, shoulders away from the ears, and breathe. Good, inhale, come on up. We're gonna turn, and I'm gonna face the long edge of my mat. And we'll do some wide angle or wide-legged stretch for the legs. Fold, wide-legged fold work. Inhale, arms come up overhead. We're gonna exhale, forward fold. Good, inhale, halfway lift. Left hand is gonna come under the face here. Right hand is going to lift toward the ceiling, and we're gonna take some circles. Okay, so my right hand's gonna reach overhead and my gaze is gonna follow the hand. And then the hand's gonna come to the ground. My gaze looks down. Inhale, my hand comes up. My gaze goes up. Overhead to the ground. We'll do this 3 times. Right hand lifts. Good, overhead and to the ground. Let's go ahead and fold this all the way out. So first, I always like to get alignment. Go ahead and lift halfway. So slight bend in the knees, lift the tailbone toward the ceiling, and then let the head fold forward. You can take the hands to the outside of the ankles to just work the belly toward the thighs. You can loop the index, the 2 fingers, first fingers here, loop it with the big toe and pull your head toward the ground. Just shake the head, no, nod it, yes. Really working the tailbone up. That's shifting the position of the pelvis and targeting the hamstrings. Good, release the toes, hands come to the mat. Okay, I am going to work toward the other side. So I'm actually gonna walk my hands around this way so that I still end up facing you. Hands come to the mat. Step your front foot back. Good, we're gonna shift on forward, chaturanga push-up. Inhale to up dog. Let's just pause here in up dog. Draw the shoulders behind the heart, gentle pulling down of the tailbone, and we're just gonna rock side to side a couple times. So I'm gonna take the gaze over the right shoulder, and then I'm gonna switch to over the left. Over the right, scanning the body here. Over the left shoulder. Good. And then let's curl the toes under, lift the hips to your down dog. So now we're gonna work warrior 1 on the left side. Lift the left heel toward the ceiling. Inhale here, exhale, left knee draws in toward that left elbow. Step it on forward. But again, if it lands in the middle of the mat, pick up the foot, walk it forward. I'm gonna ground on down through the back of my heel, aligning back heel to the front heel, inhaling on up to warrior 1. Working my hips to shine toward the front of my mat. Exhaling, hands come down behind the tailbone. Draw the knuckles toward the ground. Inhale here, and then humble warrior. Let the head bow forward. Good, inhale, press yourself on up, straighten that front leg. Here's where we're gonna draw the feet toward each other just a little bit, keeping 2 to 3 feet distance between my heels, my arch, and then I'm gonna turn this right foot in slightly. Work the hips forward. This time I'll just demonstrate the elbows, grabbing of the elbows instead of the prayer hands, but if that felt good to you, feel free to take the prayer hands, just really opening the shoulders, opening the chest there. But I'm gonna do that same motion with grabbing the elbows and pressing my forearms into my mid-back. Front leg is straight as I pour the hips, the front hips forward, and then I pause where I feel my left hamstring engage, and your left hamstring is right back here. 2 to 3 breaths here. Make sure the shoulders are drawing away from the ears. Make sure you're not clenching through the teeth. Good, inhale on up. Coming back to your wide-legged forward fold. Feet face the edge of the mat. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, slight bend in the knees as I fold it forward and I lift the tailbone. Inhale up. This time, let's go ahead and, well, we've got to do the other side first. So right hand comes under the nose. Left hand lifts. Inhale here. And remember, my gaze is just following my hand as my hand reaches forward and then down. Inhale it up. Exhale slowly. One more time. Good. I always like a little hip opener here while I'm in my wide-legged forward fold. So let's just rock side to side. Just gently, you can take the hands over to one side and then inhale and exhale, going to the opposite side. Good, pause here, lengthen from tailbone to crown of the head and really find that nice long lifting of the tailbone and then lower the head on down. Two more nice deep inhales, slow, steady exhales right here in this wide-legged fold, getting into the back of the hamstrings. Good. Lift on up. We're going to walk the hands back around to the feet and we're going to come to a seated position on our mat. So extending the legs out long, I'm going to draw my little notebook right here and we'll need the strap here in a little bit. I'm just going to come into staff pose. Okay, so staff pose just means my feet are out long in front of me. I want my pelvis, the base of my pelvis to be rooted into the ground. That means those bony butt bones that little kids dig into your legs if they sit on your lap, those butt bones, you have those still too. If you need to move the flesh out of the way, find them, sit that down because that extends the tailbone down to proper sitting position. You may not be able to do this if you have really tight hamstrings. If you do, bend the knees, find the butt bones and sit like this, okay? That's a whole lot better than sitting like this. So a lot of times we'll tuck the tailbone under and sit this way if our hamstrings are really tight. Okay, so right here if you need to. Inhale and exhale. We're gonna take a couple of gentle twists. So we're gonna inhale, arms come up overhead. Exhale, twist toward the right. Right hand comes behind the spine. Left hand's to the outside of the right leg. Inhale up. Exhale to the other side. Got my back to pop there. Inhale up. Exhale to the other side. Inhale up. Exhale, other side. All right, we're going to take a reverse bridge to open up our hip flexors real fast. So hands come under the shoulders. Feet are going to walk into where they're about 1.5 feet away from the hips. And I'm going to lift the hips toward the ceiling, holding the head with the front muscles of my neck to really protect the back of my neck. Good, lower that on down. Extend the legs out in staff, bend the knees, wrap. Actually, let's take our strap here. Okay, so I have a really long strap. I'm gonna fold it in half. I'm gonna wrap that around the base of my feet and find my sit bones rooted into the ground. And then I'm gonna scoot my heels forward. And then I'm gonna use that to pull my torso toward my thighs. My sit bones, I don't lose contact of them with the ground. If I lose contact, that means I have collapsed through my low back, okay? And then I'm stretching my low back. I'm not stretching my hamstrings. So right here, go ahead and take a few nice deep breaths. And while you're here, I'm going to read Philippians 2:13. It says, it is God who works in you to will and to act in order to fulfill his good purpose. I know some translations say according to his good purpose. So I looked this verse up in the Greek because I was trying to teach this verse to my kiddos, and I put it in some of the Greek definitions. But again, in the NIV, it says it's God who works in you to will and to act in order to fulfill his good purpose. And with the Greek paraphrase, it says it's God's energy in us that enables us to think and act according to his way and his delight. Good, inhale, come on up, release the strap. We're gonna take one more reverse table, so hands come under the shoulders, walk the feet in, lift the hips, take a nice deep inhale. Exhale. Lift one more time. And exhale, lower them on down. Okay, we are going to end with a seated meditation in cow face pose. So I am going to lead you through this hip opener. And I love it because it opens. Some people hold a lot of stress in the hips and they may not realize it. And I didn't realize how tight my hips were either before I started yoga. So left knee is gonna come down and you're going to walk this left heel in as close to the opposite hip as possible. If this already isn't available for you, you could just sit here. You could sit just like this because you can do the hip opening right here, okay? But if you can get that left leg in tight, right leg can just collapse on top of it wherever it falls, or the proper position would be our knees stacked and right foot here, flex the ankles. I'm gonna take the strap again and I'm going to find eagle arms. So really fast, let me show you the eagle arms. We're going to take the strap overhead. My top hand pats me on the back, and I'm using my right arm on top, left arm on bottom. My left hand faces outward, okay? And I'm just gonna walk my hands as close to each other as I can. If you can find the bind, that's where we're binding the fingers, okay? So you choose what fits for you. But we've got the legs, we've got the arms, right hand on top. That left top of the hand is gonna gently press into my upper back, opening the heart. Right elbow works toward the ceiling to open the tricep. I'm gonna invite you to just close your eyes and breathe. Tune into just the sound of your own breath. Inhale, coming through the nose. Slow, steady exhale. Release the hands. Keep the legs where they are. We're going to rock the pelvis forward. Fold over those knees to feel the opening of this right hip. Okay? And I like to just gently look side to side, working that top shoulder toward the knee, and then go the other direction. We're just scanning for how that feels in the right hip, how my legs kind of feel here in this pose. So again, it's God's energy in us that enables us to think and act according to his way and his delight. And I just like that. I love it because right before that, Paul had said we should be working out our salvation with trembling and with fear. So we should be putting in the work. And then he gives us this gift of a reminder, but it's God's energy in us that enables us to do it. So it's this partnership, right? And similarly with emotions, it's that partnership and dependence on the Lord. In yogi language, in the secular yoga studio, they would say there's no guru, which is a word for teacher. There's no teacher except the one that is guiding you from within. And so as a Christian yoga teacher, I take that and I interpret that as it's God in me who is my guide. Okay? And the same is true for us in the way of emotional health. But how can we allow him to guide us to the depth of what he wants to do in us if we're not willing to take the mask off? So that's the reason for sessions 1 and 2 is that whole work of taking the mask off, recognizing what we're feeling and sharing it with the Lord, rooting our identity in him, and then recognizing he's in this with us. We're going to switch legs and then continue this meditation a little bit. So right leg is going to come on the bottom, left leg comes on top. Root the sit bones back down. Flex the ankles. Again, if your knees fall differently, that's okay. And then take the strap. Left arm comes on top. This time, right hand comes underneath. Grab the strap. Let that open the left elbow up toward the ceiling, opening the tricep. Gentle pressing into the upper back with the top of the right hand as you breathe here. And just as we are engaging with our breath, and the breath of the Almighty, the God who's in us, the one whose energy flows through us as his children, as his anointed, as a conduit for his grace. When we come to this point in our emotions where we have gone through the process that I just shared, we kind of come to this place where I narrowed down 3 options. Either we continue to seek guidance from wise counsel and in prayer. Maybe fasting is a part of that. Maybe we need to make a change, a different communication, or a choice. Or is it just a place of surrendering and yielding to the Lord? Sometimes our emotions are a result of circumstances that aren't in our control, and that's okay. And it's a place of just coming to that physical, emotional, and mental surrender of just trusting the Lord and following. Good. Release the hands. We're going to take the fold here. Engaging with the breath, rocking side to side, just scanning how these hips, the left hip is feeling on this side, how this pose kind of impacts the hips in this position. So again, we have a journal prompt that you can follow here, but to just summarize again what I just said, scanning where you are emotionally, naming it, sharing it with the Lord, reminding yourself, rooting down your identity in Christ, and then is it time, is it a place for you to seek guidance in prayer, from wise counsel, from fasting? Is it time to make a change, a choice, a different commitment? Or is this a place where we just want to surrender and yield to the Lord? I'm going to read this prayer because it's often quoted, but it just, as I was planning this, I was like, this is the prayer that goes right along with this. So close your eyes, engage with your breath. And it's the prayer that says, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Take a nice deep inhale, slow, steady exhale. This concludes our series on yoga for emotional health. Thank you so much for joining me. You know by now that this is a process. I will continue to pray for all my viewers as they work on this practice, as they cycle through emotions. Remember that it's God's grace that covers you and His working in you, His energy in you that enables you to live this life. So keep seeking Him as you go, grow, and breathe.